going to do is we're going to hear from Janet next, and I'll take just a minute to tell you about how outstanding her work has been. And then, after Janet, we're going to ask Doug Rand to talk for a few minutes to just tell us about what they've been doing at the White House with this particular issue, because I've been reading some of the important stuff that he has written on this particular issue that's on their website. But first we're going to go to Janet now. And Janet Foutty is the leader of the federal consulting practice at Deloitte. In this role, she directs more than 5,000 dedicated practitioners and former government executives to help federal agencies transform into more efficient and effective organizations with wide-ranging missions in the US and around the world. She has a very international background. She was managing director of Deloitte Consulting's US technology practice, but under her leadership, Deloitte Technology grew to more than 15,000 practitioners across the US, India, and Mexico. And she successfully launched 3 new businesses under the service area, the Application Management Service, Deloitte Digital, and Customer Solutions, to name those 3. So it is really delightful that Janet could be with us today. Janet, please. Thank you.
I'm going to come sit with you. So good, I guess now evening. It's really a pleasure. Am I supposed to be here? Is this me? Oh, it is, good. It's really a pleasure to be here with you to talk about this topic. I have to say that as I was listening to the remarks, I'm actually going to take away some of the things I was going to say and actually sort of share some common themes. But I spent a lot of time out and about in the market talking about women in STEM, which is an interesting sort of corollary to this conversation. So I would love to dialogue with about that a little bit, maybe in the Q&A. Just a little bit about my personal background. Well, as I was thinking about my my remarks and coming up here, I certainly am not an immigrant, and I do not spend much of my time on Capitol Hill influencing legislation. So I come at this conversation from a very different lens, which is from a business leader who has a lot of personal passion and commitment around talent and what talent means to a professional services organization. So it's actually an interesting contrast of the 3 conversations. My personal background is I come from a heavy-duty academic family. Actually thought I was going to go either be a musician or an actress. Quickly figured out that my talent was not quite as much as I thought it was, and migrated into sort of math, quant business fields. I quickly found a tremendous passion for the intersection of business and technology, and how technology could help enable business transformation that my clients were really grappling with how to bring together, primarily in the financial services industry. I spent most of my career in Wall Street. I always, as I said in my opening comment, I always had a real interest in how we, Deloitte, had the ability to attract and develop what I thought were some of the smartest and most creative people. And having that interest in the people side of our business actually led me into the role to actually lead a big part of our business. I did spend the last 5 years leading our technology business, and again showed up in Washington in June of this year to lead our federal consulting business. That's just a little bit about my personal background. When I was reflecting on the comments of my colleagues, 2 things I want to put an exclamation point on, actually 3, that Bruce talked about. One is the concept of diversity of thought. I love that we come from very different perspectives in very different places, and that is just a core part of what is so important to our organization around taking our clients' sort of messiest, most complicated problems and helping them solution against those problems, is having a broad set of perspectives at the table in the conversation. The second thing is, and I'll give you attribution for this, but I do see myself, and actually Peter and I were in a discussion this morning, as the cheerleader for innovation in our organization. As a high-end professional services firm, the market has shifted a lot, and we're not about responding to our clients want us to do A, B, C, D, and E, and could you please tell us how you will do this? Our business is about helping our clients really envision solutions to their problems, and that takes innovation on our part and their part, so I love that phrase. And the last is I have to say that my project teams, when you flash the countries up, I don't think I have anyone from Malta on any of my current teams, but the diversity of our teams very much mirror and mimic exactly what you've articulated. When Brian talked about the fact that each, and I might not have caught the statistic exactly, but each graduate student who stays creates 3 jobs. I think about the Deloitte partnership. You know, we have the privilege of having maintained being a private partnership in the professional services industry. And I think of each Deloitte partner as an entrepreneur. And as I was actually coming over here from a client meeting, I actually was with my partner is someone we actually hired out of the Indian Institute of Technology, came on a student visa, and is now a citizen and is a wildly successful partner in our firm. And our leverage of partner to staff is about 1 to 50. So I think about each partner that we've recruited either within the U.S. or you know, we do a little bit of recruiting outside of the U.S. They're creating job opportunities for 50 people in this country, which is I love that frame around creating opportunity. And I have to say that you're sort of no nonsense. How could you not possibly think about pushing this agenda forward and changing this conversation? Really resonated with me because, as I said, this is not something I talk publicly a lot about. It is exactly how I feel. I believe deeply in STEM education, especially around women, but it is so common sense and so logical. So I love the comments and how it weaves in. Just a few comments from a Deloitte perspective about the importance of this topic and from a professional services perspective more broadly. And I was reflecting back, because I told you I was very involved in sort of the talent processes within Deloitte, and I was reflecting back on campus recruiting when you were talking about, you know, being at the bottom of the list. Deloitte is known in the broader universe as an audit firm, right? Sits next to someone on an airplane. You know, my parents' friends go, "Oh, are you an auditor?" No, I'm a technology consultant. But that's the impression they have. And for us, our technology business is a bit different than some of our competitors. It really is about the intersection of technology and business. So when we go to campus, one of the things that I actually drove change in campus recruiting when I was probably a mid-level manager, so I was 6 or 7 years out of school, was to take immigration status actually to be blind to that in our interview processes. And we were the first firm on the campuses in the Midwest that I had responsibility for that actually changed that conversation. Now it's absolutely commonplace, but as we were looking for people who had really deep analytical talent and the ability to understand business issues, we wanted the widest aperture possible to look for people who could fit that profile and did not want to fret about, frankly, at the time it was the cost. It wasn't the issues we're talking about today, it was actually the cost of taking someone through the visa processes over the years. For us, about 7% of our entire Deloitte business in the US is made up of foreign nationals in some form or fashion. The technology business that I have responsibility for has a much higher percentage, but you think about all the functions of Deloitte and auditing and tax and strategy and operations business, 7%, that's a substantive part of our workforce. And the reason is that we look for the diversity of ideas, perspective, and innovation to bring into our organization and want to make sure that we're bringing the absolute best thinking. The second key point for us is around mobility of technology talent as it relates to our US clients. I support the federal government business now, but prior to that, the technology business I had responsibility for was all about our US clients. But our US clients absolutely wanted us to have the ability to bring the best technology to talent from every corner of the globe and to be able to support their operations in countries around the world and to have the talent that we could help deploy in country or from the US and be able to move our technology talent around the globe to be able to support our clients' most complex problems and support them holistically without any of those barriers. It was interesting, the comment in the opening remarks around sort of the counter-argument around the H-1B discussion being that you know, you should hire undergrads and help develop them versus go and look for master's students. We do have the privilege because we look for quants and computer scientists and engineers and business students, but we don't hire for specific technical skill sets. We hire for aptitude and technology, and the underpinnings of technology. It really means that we do a wide variety of recruiting, both at the undergrad and at the graduate level. And it's at about a ratio of 4 to 1. We do about 4 times many hires at the undergraduate level than we do at the graduate level. I thought what you were going to talk about was investment in, education of high school students and of elementary school students, but I thought that was a really interesting counter argument, because for us, the most important thing is getting talent out into our business at the undergraduate level, with secondary also being really important at the graduate level. So those, I think, were the things that I wanted to make sure to cover. I'm sure my team will tell me that I've forgotten 17 things I'm supposed to say, but this is both on the H-1B status and on helping people become permanent citizens within the U.S. is an incredibly strategic imperative. Our goal, my current goal in life, is to help the U.S. federal government be as efficient and effective as possible. My prior role to help my commercial and state government clients be so, and I share your passion that I deeply believe that the best talent from around the globe is what we need to help drive that in this marketplace. So that's up to you.